Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be creating Azure storage using Terraform. If you don't know what Terraform is, you could read about it, but essentially Terraform is an infrastructure as a code tool that lets you build, manage different resources on cloud and on-prem platforms. Instead of using a graphical interface, you could typically use Terraform to make your creation dynamic, where you can build loads and loads of resources and have them reusable using those scripts. And I'm going to be designing it based on the Medallion architecture, and that's how I'm going to be designing my storage account. So the Medallion principle is actually a coinage from Databricks, just trying to describe how you organize within a lakehouse. And so data moves from the first layer, which is like the bronze layer, where you have the raw data, and it goes to the second layer, which is the silver layer, where you have the transformation done on your data, and it has the last layer, which is the gold layer, and also the aggregation layer, where you kind of do all the aggregation you want, and you have prepared the data and have it for final for analytics. And so that is how I'm going to be designing my storage account. So essentially what I'm going to be doing in this video, I'll be creating a storage account having these three containers in it. And because I want it to be dynamic, I want it to have a code where I can always use it anytime I want. I'm going to be using Terraform to create that in this video. What am I going to be creating for this? I'm going to be creating the main.tf. I'll also be creating the variables.tf. I'll also create the terraform.tf var and also the output files. These four files are part of what I'll be creating in this video. I'm going to be explaining each of them, so just to give you an idea on what we'll be doing. The main.tf file is the core of Terraform configuration, and so this is where you define the infrastructure resources that you want to create. In my case, I'm going to be creating just a storage account, but in other project working with different organizations, you might need to create more resources, most times tens, hundreds of resources based on the use case of that organization. And using Terraform helps you to make this reusable, so you're able to create, manage and configure within the main.tf. On my code on the right, I'm going to be showing you the code later, but just the picture I have on the right, you can see where I define all the resources I need to create the Azure resource group. I tell Terraform this is what I'm going to be creating. I specify the provider, which is Azure RM, and for the name, I'm picking the name from the variables, and I define all of this here. So it's declarative in a sense that you're able to just mention what you want, and Terraform is able to understand that this is what it needs to provide in that sense. So the variables.tf defines input variables. So these variables allow you to parameterize your Terraform configuration, making it more flexible and reusable. Essentially, this is my way of saying with the variables, you are just able to reuse this. You don't need to go and input the information for every time you need it. You make this to be very, very dynamic. And you can see that I'm just saying I'm setting a variable called resource group name, and I put the data type, I put the description of it, and all of that I list them here, the location, the storage account name, because I don't want it to be visible. For security reasons, I want to use variables, and I also want it to be dynamic. So this is where the terraform.tf var comes into play, because this is where I actually specify the information that I need. So my data lake west, and put the name of the storage account. This is where I actually specify the files that I want it to create. I've already defined the variables, but this is where I come to define the actual values, and this is where I can always change if I need to do any modification. So these files allows you to customize the deployment by providing specific values for your outputs. How about the output.tf? The output.tf is just whenever you've created the resources you want some message to come up, you want to understand that this has completed, and you want to see all the different resources that have been created. So the output.tf file allows you to display after it finishes applying the configuration, and you're able to see that. The next thing I'm going to show you is on my Git repo. And when you come to my Git repo, you will see Terraform. On Terraform, I have the Azure Medallion architecture, and when I click on the Azure Medallion architecture, I'll see all the files that I've created. If you notice something, I have the main.tf, I have the output.tf, I have the variables.tf, but I have hidden the Terraform.tf var, and it's part of my git ignore. It's something you should also do for security reasons, because you don't want anybody going to see the actual values you've set for your parameter. So you could have that as part of the git ignore. And in my readme file, I have all the steps you can use to do the same thing that I have done, and you should be able to deploy, you should be able to provision your Azure storage within your cloud infrastructure. And in this case, I'm using Azure. There are a couple of prerequisites that you need. The first is you need to have Terraform installed. You could just go to this website. I'm just going to open on a new link, and you see all the steps to download Terraform. If you're using Mac, in my case, I'm using Mac, but if you're using Windows, you will see step to also install on Windows. If you're also using Linux machine, you can see step to download on Linux machine. But my own case, I have that sorted out. And you can also install the Azure CLI. The Azure CLI is you now telling your machine to connect your Azure on cloud or your Azure portal and have all your credentials verified and have all of that sorted. And when you have those two things off the way, and you should have an Azure account, of course, and that is how you're able to do the Azure CLI, not just having an Azure account, have a subscription on the Azure account. So I'm going to clone my repo. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to clone that. When I come here, I'm opening my terminal. If you're using a Mac, as I am, just open your terminal and paste this. It's just going to clone this repo, and I click on enter. It shows me that this has been cloned into this folder. If you are not sure the path where your file is, so you don't go around looking for it, you just can do pwd just to see that my own is on my user and my name. I'm just going to go to that folder. This is the folder where I have my file. If I double click, I'll see all the files that I've created. And how do I open this? I'm simply going to open my VS Code. On my VS Code, I'm going to come to Explore and say I want to open a folder. The folder that I created just now, I can see it here. I double click on it. This is the folder. And I say I want to open this folder. I can click on open. When this is open, I'm going to see my main.tf file. And here you can see that everything is specified. My Azure resource group. I'm going to be creating an Azure resource group. I have the Azure provider. I just specified the provider here. And I'm also going to be creating my ADLS. And to show that it is actually the ADLS that I'm creating, you can see the enable hierarchical namespace, which I enabled here. And I'm also going to be creating all of the containers that I'll be using for this demo. On the output file, you can see that I specify what output should be shown. This is the description. This is the output name. And from the output, I want to see the value. This value is coming from my variables. I want this to show. I want this to show as well, and all of this. And the variables, this is where I specify the variables. 3 variables, one for the resource group name, one for the location, and one for the storage account name. One more file I'm going to be creating, and that is the file I'll be specifying the different values I have specified in my variables. To do that, I can come back to my Git repo. I'm just going to copy this because I'm going to be creating this file. Let's go to terminal. On terminal, I'm going to say new terminal. I'm going to paste this. Command C. I click on enter. You can see that the new folder has been created. And what are the values I'm going to have on this folder? If I go back here, I can just copy this and paste here. My data lake resource group, and the location is West Europe. And because this should be unique, I'm just going to put a bunch of numbers there to show you that I don't have any file, any resource group created already called this resource group name. You can see that I don't have any of it created, and when I create that, it's going to show up under the resource groups that I have in my Azure portal. Okay, so what do we do now? I'm going to save this. I'm just going to Control Save All. Good. The first thing I'm going to do is to initialize this. So I'm going to say Terraform init to initialize this. Then next is Terraform plan. So I've got this error telling me that I've exceeded the character length, which should be 24 character long. So I have more than that. I'm just going to delete a couple of these and just maybe put 00. So this should be within range. If I should count, it's going to be within that. I'm just going to come here and save all again. When I'm done, I'll try to do my Terraform plan again. Enter. So it tells me this is what is going to be created, and I can see everything that is going to be created in this. I could review this. Let me just increase here. I could review this and tells me that 5 to add. The plan is 5 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. And the next thing I'm going to do is Terraform apply. So I'm going to be applying this plan. It asks me only yes to say yes to approve, and I'm going to say yes to approve. So my apply is completed. I can see 5 added. It has created all of this. If I want to confirm that, I can just go to my Azure portal, and if I should refresh this, you can see that the new file I just created is here. And if I open my storage account, go to my data lake storage, I'll see the bronze, gold, and silver layers that I just created. And you can see that this has been created automatically. My resource group, I have my new resource group that I created, and I can see my storage account. If I want to take that all out, I can just go here, and if I want to delete this when I'm done, I do Terraform. I do Terraform destroy. I want to delete everything I just created. And this is the beautiful thing about Terraform. If I have too many resources, I've created a lot of resources, I don't need to go individually to delete them on my Azure portal. I can simply do that here and just say Terraform destroy. And it tells me, you see, it's the importance of the output, because the output is able to read all of these things I'm creating and gives me what I'm going to destroy, and it's trying to remind me that there is no undo on this. Once this is done, it is done. I'm going to say yes, I want this to be destroyed. So it says destroy complete, resources 5 destroy. So I have 5 resources I just created that I've destroyed. If I should come back to my Azure portal, if I refresh this, it tells me not found. It means that this has been destroyed and has been removed from my Azure portal. So you could try this. Let me know how it goes, and if you encounter any problem, just leave a message on my on the comment section, and I'll see how to respond to that. Thank you all for joining. See you all in my next video. Bye.